Apple today revealed their new Mac Studio. Now, I'd mentioned before that this thing has vibes that remind me of the PowerMac G4 Cube, and I was right. So, the PowerMac G4 Cube, for those of you who do not know, sat right in between the PowerMac and the consumer-level iMac, okay? It was a tweener, as it were, and this little cube was honestly one of the most beautiful computers Apple had ever made. It was passively cooled with an optical drive in the top. One of the downfalls, though, was that the ports were in the bottom, and the reason was because there was a pop-up handle that you could use to remove the computer from its shell. This allowed for expandability, but unfortunately, it was actually not that easily expandable. I believe they had a second try with the Trash Can Mac Pro, and look how that turned out. But what's really cool was that Apple designed a whole system. In addition to the PowerMac G4 Cube, there was the Apple Cinema display, the Pro keyboard, the optical mouse, and the Harman Kardon speakers that to this day I have been trying to find the equivalent of for a modern system. But now we've got the Mac Studio. The Mac Studio is, in my opinion, a worthy successor to the G4 Cube. One of the things you will notice, the ports are in the back. They are no longer on the bottom. You don't have to turn your machine upside down to unplug and plug in peripherals. And you've got pretty much everything, including the kitchen sink. You've also got a very simple design that from the top would look an awful lot like a Mac Mini. On the front, you've got even more expansion with 2 USB-C or Thunderbolt ports, depending on the configuration, and an SD card slot. And with it, you have a new Studio display, which contains your camera and speakers. They are no longer external. Actually, the PowerMac G4 didn't even come with a camera. So we take a look here, the PowerMac G4 Cube, and you can pause here to read the specs. But as you can see, this thing is obsolete, but at the same time, for the time, it was a real beast. And it started at $17.99. The Apple Studio display was $1,000. The iSight camera, which came after the G4 Cube, I'm well aware, but let's go ahead and put this on the list because the new Studio display came with a camera, so too shall this. $150 at the time. And of course, the Apple Pro speakers, keyboard, and mouse, all three of which were $50. Or excuse me, $60. So I went ahead and done the math for you, taking into account 20 years worth of inflation. $3,000 for the G4 Cube, display, the Studio display at $1,700, speakers, keyboard, and mouse totaling $300, and the iSight camera for $230. If you were to buy the G4 Cube today, it would be $5,230. And then we've got the Mac Studio, which again, you can pause here to read the specs, but suffice it to say, compared to the G4 Cube, this thing is an absolute monster. And again, with the Studio display, Mac Studio for $2,000, Studio display for $1,600, including the speaker and camera. Magic Keyboard with Touch ID, $200, which I think is a must. I realize the system allows you to bring your own keyboard, but I personally would not go with a non-Apple keyboard for security reasons. Magic Mouse, $100, total $3,900. So $3,900 versus $52. I'd say we can definitely see that we have a far superior product for a far cheaper price. But I do think that the Studio is carrying on the badge, the PowerMac G4 Cube, quite well. What is your take? I am curious. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.